Hi, my name is Shubham and I'm founder and CEO of AuditG. As you know, website performance is very important and we believe it in too. That's why we built AuditG to help you track website performance in a much more efficient manner. Today, I'm going to talk about what are the basic principles of website performance monitoring, what are the tools available in terms of free of cost, in terms of open source, and of course, I'm going to talk more about AuditG in the end of this video. So let's start the whole video conversation. The first thing that we really need to understand as a business guy, as a developer, that what exactly is website performance monitoring. There are too many nuances to it, but what's important is to understand what kind of metrics that you need to really track, at what scale you need to track, and when to track. All those things are very important. I have seen people saying that my website is performing very fast, but they don't understand why. I have seen people saying that my website is performing very slow, but they don't have the reason or understanding for saying why, right? So the goal of this video is to help you understand that how you can properly communicate to your stakeholders as a developer or as a business guy, how you can properly communicate to your developers that what kind of metrics needs to be tracked and what are the business benefits involved in this whole piece. I just want to give you a disclaimer before starting this whole conversation is that website performance monitoring is a team job. It's not a one man show. So you need to really set up a website performance culture within your organization. Or if your tech has been outsourced, you really need to make sure that your agency, your freelance developer, or your consultant needs and are passionate about website performance monitoring. So let's start the show. I'm going to talk about the basic things of website performance monitoring. The first thing is like website performance monitoring primarily consists of two major divisions. One which you know by the name of Google Lighthouse. The second thing that you know by the name of Core Web Vitals. Both the things are very important and both the things are very different from each other. When you look at Google Lighthouse, right, it's primarily derived for the developers. So the idea of Google Lighthouse is to support developers by providing them the most technical information that could be possible for any particular web URL so a developer can look into it and fix it in the long term run. It's simple, right? In the early days when sailors have been sailing around the sea and ocean, Lighthouse was there to guide them through that what place they need to go next. It's the same way Google Lighthouse also works. But the challenge of this data is it's a very small subset of a larger superset of the data. Now, what is the meaning of this? When you develop a website, you have a very limited set of persona with you. You do not have a real user on that website because a new web page is under the development. So what developer primarily relies upon is some sort of a device, some sort of a network, some sort of a test location, and they test it. They're not wrong at all. This is how website performance testing works at developer scale. So I have seen developer or being a developer by myself from last 8 years. I've been using Chrome tools to track website performance. Then I've been relying on PageSpeed Insights to look at the data. But those data sets are really not helping much for a non-technical users. And the other side of the website performance monitoring story is the Core Web Vitals. So if you go to PageSpeed Insights, you look at Core Web Vitals data. That Core Web Vitals data has two things. One is what you call the actual Core Web Vitals, other thing what you call the other notable metrics. So Core Web Vitals is a data set that has been derived from Chrome user experience public data set and which talks about how exactly the real visitors or the real users are interacting to your website as per the data collected by the Chrome browser logged in users. Now there are too many things to look upon. Like first thing is what is Lighthouse, second thing is what is Core Web Vital, then you have Crux, then you have too many zigzag stuff. So let's simplify it, right? So Core Web Vital is nothing but the real user experience of the website logged by the Chrome browser itself. So if the user is coming from Safari or Mozilla, or if the user is coming from an incognito network or an incognito mode, or if the user is a non-logged in Chrome user who has not logged in Chrome, their data sets are not qualified for these kind of metrics. So this is how you track your real user experience. So website performance monitoring is a summary of two approach. One approach is your lab data for assisting developers to make sure that what's working and what's not at very deep technical skill set. Second thing is your core web vitals, which help you understand how real users are experiencing your website. This both data will vary. It will never be the same, right? You might have a passing core web vital, but have a 30 out of 100 score on page speed insights. Now, what's the reason for this? Why this kind of differentiation is there? So, when you look at page speed insights, it also uses Google Lighthouse to track your lab data. So, if you look at page speed insight data at a very granular level, you will realize that this particular data has been extracted from a Moto G Power 3G fast network for a somewhere hosted server in Asia, Europe, depending upon from where you are pinging page speed insights, right? Now, now just try to imagine how many people are visiting your website from MotoG Power. Most of the people are coming from high-end devices. They have a better network. They were in India. They are on 4G fast. Probably in other parts of the world also they are on 4G network, right? And if your website is hosted in India, or if your website is hosted in USA, or if your website is hosted in UK, you don't want to test from somewhere in Europe. You want to test from that particular location itself, because the round trip time of the server will be very high if your website is being pinged from Taiwan if you are hosted in India. So these kind of problems exist with Lighthouse. And to solve this particular problem, we built Origin, where we give you an array of devices, network, and test locations, more than 40 plus devices, 13 plus networks, and 12 plus global test location to know what exactly is working and what exactly is not working in your website in technical terms. And we also store this data for time travel so that you can always look back and understand, okay, this particular thing was working 2 weeks back. Now, after my latest release, the new build is not working perfectly fine. On the other hand side, the real user experience can different. People can come from different networks, different browsers, different locations, different RAM, different OS, and number of stuff. There are more than 30 plus data points which we capture to tell you that, okay, this is the problem with your website, this is where the website performance is good. So this is the differentiation between lab data and field data, and that is why these scores will never be the same. Lab data is focused for developers, field data is mostly for the business users. Now, there is a problem with Core Web Vital dataset as well. Now, this data is 28 days delayed. So, if you have just launched a new web page on your e-commerce website, now this web page will not have data till the time it has not passed 28 days mark of Google infrastructure, where Google asks you to wait for 28 days and then it will combine the dataset and give you the information. Now, what you will do in that particular scenario? The first thing that you will rely on the lab data, which is a very smaller subset of your actual superset of the website visitor experience. In that case, you need RAM. You need real user monitoring tools which will help you identify that where exactly is my website going in terms of real user experience. For example, if you're a small website, this will not matter much. But if you are a big website, if you are dealing in millions, right, then this really makes sense to implement from day zero. Why? Because the first thing, you have millions in traffic, you are 28 days delayed for that new particular page. By the time you realize that, okay, Chrome user experience is bad for this particular piece, the damage has been done, right? So now you have to do the whole work again. To solve this kind of problems, front-end rum tools are very important. Audit is one of the kind of tool which offers you both lab data and field data. With Audit you can track any of your web page website performance in real time across 30 plus parameters like devices, networks, locations, RAM, in-app browsers, whatnot. And then you can also analyze that how this data will step up in terms of the Google eye. So we help you look at both the data sets very effectively, and we help you track this kind of performance metrics so that you don't have to sweat on figuring it out like what's working and what's not. Field data is also very important for the developers, because sometimes I have seen developers optimizing and meeting the Lighthouse scores. That's not going to help at all. It will help for a certain extent. Let's just say that user may be part of your one of the subsets of the superset of the real user monitoring, but that's not actually going to help in a wider spectrum. If you are getting traffic in millions and you are just making sure that, okay, my Lighthouse score is 90 out of 100, you are doing a good job, but that's not actually it's going to work out. If you'll see the real user experience of Core Web Vitals, and if you'll just look at the data, it will tell you that, okay, your LCP is good only for 30% of your website visitors. Now, these are the things that a business really needs to track, rather than chasing scores or pushing the tech team towards that, okay, now meet 100 out of 100 in my Lighthouse. Those kind of efforts are not a smart effort. I'll say it's a good effort but not a smart effort, so you should refrain from it. and try to figure out like what's the maximum value that can be derived from the website and for whom you want to optimize. For an example, if you are catering in India, right, and if your website performance is working well in India, and let's just say some of your visitors are also coming from US, for them your website performance is bad, you really need to think that do you need to optimize from them or not, right? These kind of things matters a lot. These kind of things people or businesses kind of not look in the very beginning, and then by the time they realize, again the damage has been done. So to solve these kind of problems, we have built Org, which help you figure out all those problems in very real time, so that your tech team, your business team can look into this problem and fix it. Other very important thing is like we also track what is the impact of speed on your conversion rates. This is a very important metrics to track when you're running an e-commerce business, because if you know that my website drop rate is high because of the slow loading time, you actually know that okay, I'm losing conversions here, and by optimizing for that particular set of users, you have a probability of getting more conversions. I'll not say that it will boost your conversion, because conversion depends on other factors too. But if the reason is speed, that particular piece can be easily tracked. So this is what we are doing at Org. If you are looking for a free trial, or if you are looking for the free rum data sets, you can always head towards org.com, where you can get a free trial of our startup program, and also you can get 25,000 page views of real user data each month free of cost. So our goal is to empower you to make sure that your experience is top notch with your developers, and developer experience is top notch with the code, and overall experience is top notch for the website visitors. So I'll take a quick pause here. I'll come with a new video where I'll share my screen and I'll try to explain all those things around Lighthouse, page speed insights. Till then, stay audited. Thank you.